What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. We've got some more rumors to talk about because, of course, we do. It's the Mets offseason, and David Stearns keeps everything tight to his chest. So we don't really know, but we did get a little inkling of some news that the Mets are one of the few teams that have met with Framber Valdez, which really works with my theory that we're going to sneak in at the end and get this guy in February on a great deal. Talk about Kyle Tucker, talk about Tatsuya Imai too, because we got some news there. Before we do, make sure you guys are subscribed to Mets'd. We appreciate you. Last episode before the New Year's, unless some major news happens, which it could. In the middle of the night, we have no idea, but thank you guys so much. Appreciate the subscribers, appreciate the members, and appreciate all of you listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, Merry Christmas. Welcome back. How are we feeling?
Merry Christmas to you, too. Merry Christmas to everyone out there watching and listening. Love you guys. It's just so quiet for the Mets right now. It's crazy how quiet it is. All of baseball, I guess, too. I mean, this is usually generally a quiet week. I feel like there's a handshake agreement between the players, the agents, the owners, the presidents, the general managers of we don't do anything Christmas week. But last year we had the Corbin Burns during Christmas week. But it's like something has to drop in this free agent market. The whole thing is moving kind of terrifyingly and hilariously slow.
Well, I think a really good way to kind of magnify what's going on in the free agent market is to look at Tatsuya Imai, because he spoke to a Japanese TV show. What was it? I don't know what the media outlet was.
I've got the quote from the publication that shall not be named until we get to the media marvel at the end.
Oh, nice.
Where it says, it said on TV, Asahi. Oh, Asahi, nice, good beer. Asahi's Udo Times program, where actually there aren't many concrete options on the table yet.
And apparently he doesn't have a contract offer from anybody. And
formal.
Yeah, a formal contract offer for anybody. And this is something that I think a lot of people in baseball have talked about before. You see it in other sports where they'll talk about there needs to be a free agent deadline. This is exactly why Major League Baseball free agents don't have a free agent deadline. The owners will just wait and wait and wait, and the players lose all leverage. They won't make nearly as much money. It is bad for the players to have a deadline.
Very.
It's better for the fan because our simple brains get to be stimulated and be like, move today. Things have to happen. But for the players, it's terrible. And for Imai right now, who, again, we knew there's no way he was ever getting those $200 million valuations that we saw. And we even kind of joked about how those felt insane to say for a guy when we just saw proven major league starters. But Imai looks like he's going to be good. And the fact that nobody's really made an offer yet, I mean, I know the Mets, I don't think have been particularly linked to him, but I think for the right price, anybody would be interested.
And I think that's also how you've gotten what were perceived as discounts in the past for Japanese pitchers like Kodai and Shota Imanaga.
Nice.
Nailed that one. But that's also the difference between guys like them and then when you had Masahiro Tanaka come over, Yamamoto, Otani, of course, that's a whole different animal. Yeah, Daisuke. Those guys were considered superstar adjacent players. Yamamoto, we know, is considered a bona fide purebred superstar. There's a big gap between that and what Imai's perception is right now among front offices. So what winds up happening is that you kind of just play chicken. You're going to stare at him, we're going to stare at you. It's you ready? What are you going to do here? And it probably a lot comes down to the destination that he wants. And I'm sure he's taking meetings, but we literally just went through this a week ago when you talk Murakami, and we're going to do the same thing next week with Kazuma Okamoto. When you have that deadline, you're going to have to sit and wait, and you're probably going to be able to sneak it in. Everyone's going to offer a similar number, and it's going to just come down to Imai, what kind of organization, pit, and team he wants to be with.
And I think that's partially why part of our entire MO this offseason, since we've seen the Mets lose everybody, has been that just wait, just be patient. At this point, there's no move. You go out and get Kyle Tucker, but you're going to be then paying the premium, which I don't think the Mets want to have two guys making $1 billion combined on their roster already with Francisco Lindor too and all the other money that they spend. I think they're trying to wait and see what this market looks like because there still are fantastic free agents available. And on the windup, we've been going through old off seasons, and you see if you wait, there will be a guy available, and you can just get a good deal. And as frustrating as that is from a fan standpoint, especially because everyone in the Mets world is dying for any sort of positive info with this team right now. We know Twitter is a fucking cesspool right now with the nonsense over there. It's honestly embarrassing as a Met fan to see all that nonsense. But waiting and wanting that stuff, there's no reason to jump the gun. The jump the gun moves that we have made have not panned out.
No, and you brought up Tucker. There's a totally different staring contest game of chicken going on with Kyle Tucker. Because I do think that at the end of the day, the Blue Jays seem to be far in the lead, the team where it's the best fit, the most money, the most resources, the most willingness to pay those resources for Tucker's tremendous talents. But I do think that the Mets and the Dodgers, and we've had every indication of this from every outlet, a lot of the reports this offseason, they're just lurking. They're kind of waiting. The Blue Jays also might know or might realize that it's not prudent to give long-term deals to both Tucker and Bo Bichette, then you're also playing the tightrope waiting game with Bo Bichette, where if you prioritize Kyle Tucker over your homegrown guy who just went to the World Series with and played his heart out, very injured on that World Series run with you, played a different position for the first time ever in the World Series for you and with you, you risk alienating him in a certain way, like we kind of just saw with Edwin Diaz, Dev Williams in a way, but that's a crazy tightrope game where it's a staring contest where they're going to pay the most, but no one's going to pay close. So Kyle Tucker's going to wait till he gets the most. But the longer he waits, the more the number goes down. Then you could lose Kyle Tucker to one of these other teams, but you also don't want to jump on Kyle Tucker. You might lose Bo Bichette. Like it's
crazy.
It's such a game going on. I think the Red Sox and Bregman are doing that same thing right now. Bellinger's waiting for these guys to go.
Now with the Bregman stuff, Diamondbacks apparently really active on Bregman from what all the Diamondbacks radio people are saying over there. I see those clips every once in a while. Shout out to Snakes. But like this just feels like it's going to be a very, very patient waiting game. And for the Mets, who have so many holes they do need to address, which still sounds insane. We're almost in the year 2026, and we don't even have close to a complete roster. There's no reason to jump the gun right now. Like, unless you were able to get Kyle Tucker on what's going to be a good deal, I still just don't see them doing it. And with Framber and all these other guys, I think the only way you get them on those aggressive deals that work in the Mets' favor is to just continue to wait. Because while there is no hard deadline, we know for these players, for these guys, they want a full spring training. For them to be at their best, especially for guys who are going to have opt-outs in their contracts, they're going to want a full and healthy spring training before they get going into the season. That's kind of like the fake-ish deadline that we have.
Yeah, and there is that idea of threading the needle, because a few off seasons ago we saw guys like these were two sides of the same coin, with Blake Snell and Matt Chapman not signing their contracts, so they got very close to spring training. For Chapman, it worked out fine. He got his big extension towards the end of the season. He played a good season, but Blake Snell got hurt. He wasn't ready. It took him a while to ease in. Then he didn't get hot till the second half. Now, we spent some time looking at the 2019 offseason recently. We were grading that free agent class, like Mark said, for the windup, and I've forgotten how many of those guys signed like in June. And even Bryce Harper signed his contract February 28th, Machado February 20th. Like we've had some very exhilarating off seasons recently just because we happened to have some of the best players in baseball available. Like literally the last 3 off seasons consecutively, basically the 3 best players in baseball were available on the open market. So that kind of made us forget about how slow these markets had moved for like the 4 or 5 years previously, especially before the new CBA was signed. But that's why it is nice that Imai has that deadline. Not nice for him, not nice for the players in general, but it's nice for us on this side to be like, okay, another chip actually has to move, because besides him, you mentioned the fact that story came out that the Mets had a meeting with Framber, and a few other teams have as well. Hearing nothing about Framber, you're hearing nothing about Ranger Suarez, you're hearing very little about Cody Bellinger. Like, the Cody Bellinger market seems like it's gotten so bad that when there was a fake rumor that got passed around that he was seeking $400 million, his agent, Scott Boras of all people, was like, we actually don't want that much money.
Like,
I've never ever heard Scott Boras undersell something ever since he's been an agent in this game. So it's just such a bizarre moment in time this offseason. And I think the Mets fans are the ones who are on the most pins and needles. Or maybe it feels that way because we're inside of it, but also it seems like that.
I'm sure it's a combination of that. It's got to be us, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox got to be the most on pins and needles right now for what moves could be made, because all of those teams are kind of linked to guys that are still very much available.
The Red Sox should not be on pins and needles. The Red Sox have had an exhilarating offseason. They made some great moves.
Have you seen that fan base? They're also insane too. So it's like, I think they very much want Alex Bregman back, or if they're not going to get Bregman back, what's going to be the bat that then comes in and fills in for them? I think that is kind of the worry for them. But in terms of like the worry index, I think those are the top 4. Also makes sense because those are the teams that got like 4 of them. I don't know if the Phillies keep talking about that they're done besides getting JT Realmuto, which seems to also be a game of chicken, because they're like, oh yeah, JT, have fun. Who are you going to go play for? You want to go play for the Pirates? Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, and also they seem like they're playing that same game of chicken with Ranger Suarez as well, because Ranger Suarez is in the same position that Michael King was just a few weeks ago, same position that Pete Alonso was last offseason, where it doesn't seem like the market is willing to pay out the penalties for the qualifying offer to make him a long-term deal. So you might have to prove it. If you're going to get a 1-year deal, he has to do that back with the Phillies. Like, it's molasses right now. I wonder how much of this also has to do with next year's CBA, but I also kind of think it doesn't, because the money that's been given out has been frivolous anyway, so I don't think teams are that scared about losing next year's revenue. It's just like, I don't think I see the Braves spending this much money if they were dramatically worried about what's going to happen next year. It's the Pirates as well. The Pirates have
spent money.
Pirates are going after players left and right. They're even still going after Kazuma Okamoto. We're such an impasse right now. It's hard to navigate it.
So for this Mets offseason, then let's just jump to February, right? Because the Mets were patient and it paid off, right? Or we're feeling better about it. Like, what are the moves that would legitimately make you actually feel good about this team? Because you have the big name stars. Does it have to be the big name stars, or can we fill in this roster with other players? Is that even possible?
I want to steal a prompt or a little question from the Mets'd Discord, which we'll put the link for in the description below if you guys want to join the community to chat with other Mets fans. The question was, if the only other legitimate signing the Mets make this offseason is Kyle Tucker, would you be satisfied if that's the only one?
Like, weirdly, yes. I think like the sick brain in me would be like yes, because the Mets would have Kyle Tucker is better than Pete Alonso. Like, there's no doubt there. And we lost Pete. That's what I'm seeing. How do we fill in this Pete Alonso back? Because I feel like this is going to sound so crazy. Just bear with me. Like, Jorge Polanco can fill in for Brandon Nimmo offensively right now. I think they're pretty even. Nimmo maybe a little more upside. Kyle Tucker is just a better player than Pete Alonso all around everything he does. Seems like the Mets offense is better than it was last year already. And then like Marcus Semien to Jeff McNeil, while Semien might not be the hitter that McNeil is, especially with McNeil now going to play in Sacramento where I think he's going to be awesome, the glove is phenomenal. And until that glove isn't, I'm going to slot him in for being still like a 3-win player on this roster, which would be huge because the defense was such a problem last year for this team. So I think offensively, I would be unbelievably satisfied. Obviously, the bullpen's going to be chaos, but I think that's just what we're going to sign up for with David Stearns and the New York Mets. That's just how he operates.
Yeah, and the hope is just at some point the machine starts to churn. And again, we told you guys last time we're going to have Mets top 10 prospects soon.
Yep.
Maybe later this week, but if news comes, maybe that'll be pushed out to next week, but it's ready to go. So some of these guys have to convert sooner rather than later. And the Mets have so many pitchers in the upper minors, which is why we keep kind of circling around the same idea that maybe they just, if there's no Kodai Senga trade or David Peterson trade that winds up coming to fruition, I think it's a better chance than we all think that we go into the season with the rotation basically as it currently stands. And you're kind of hoping that, and this, you guys don't want to hear this shit, but like that Minaya and Senga are ready to be mid-rotation guys, twos with upside.
It's almost like, man, I so want to say it, so I'm going to, like, they can't be as bad as they were last year. And I saw some people talk about, like, well, Kodai was great for the first half. Me and you were both like, those numbers are lying. Those numbers are not good. He's been getting – how many times did he get out of an inning where it was like bases loaded, nobody out, and it was like he got the strikeout into a double play out of it, and then you're like, oh, but he has 80 pitches after 3. Like, his beginning of the season was better. We're not going to deny that, but it still wasn't the sharp Kodai Senga we were used to.
Similar prompt, similar question that we just asked about. If Mets just signed Kyle Tucker as doing legitimate signing from now on through the rest of the offseason, is the offseason okay?
Wait, how do you feel about that?
I'd be totally okay with that. I think I'm definitely more confident in this pitching than the consensus, and I just believe that at this point the organizational depth will show itself this year, and you're going to get big contributions from guys that we might not even be suspecting to be mid-rotation guys, to be relievers, high leverage, low leverage, long relief, whatever happens. What if the one legitimate signing we make the rest of the offseason is Framber Valdez? And you get him at your number. I'm telling you, you can sign him to your perfect contract. I'm not saying you give him
3 for 100. My 3 for 100.
You get him for 3 for 100. You get Kyle Tucker for 5 for 200. Those are the deals.
Which one would I rather have?
No, I'm saying Tucker. We've already said that we're satisfied with the offseason.
Cool,
at that.
yeah.
So say that doesn't happen, but you get Framber Valdez and you're 3 for 100 with an opt out after 2.
I mean, I feel
how satisfied are you?
Not fully satisfied because this lineup is still so weak. Like, I don't feel great without having that Alonso replacement in there, because we know that power and that run producing ability is so important in this team. I feel like it would be very, very tough to feel good about this offense, even though we still have Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, who are 2 of the better offensive players in baseball. But still, it's putting a lot of weight on the shoulders of Francisco Alvarez, who still hasn't really had a full season of being good and healthy. Brett Beatty, who just showed 80 games of being good, but there's still some question marks there.
100, yeah.
Mark Vientos, who's Jekyll and Hyde seemingly year by year. Maybe it's an even year thing for him. Maybe he'll be good in 2026. I know Jorge Polanco's good. We're banking on a Marcus Semien bounce back. There's a lot more question marks where, weirdly, I would take more question marks on the pitching side, because we know what could happen with some of these guys. We've seen it happen. We're on the offensive side. The stuff feels a little more murky to me right now.
It also is funny if you go on Fangraphs Steamer projections, all teams, and you sort by projected hitter WAR.
Oh yeah.
You know what number the Mets are?
I think they're 3rd.
Yeah, 4th.
Yeah,
a hair behind the Orioles, who jumped over us with Pete. But then it's like there has to be losing Pete and Nimmo will hurt the offense for sure.
Yes.
Getting Polanco takes off some of that, but definitely not enough of that where I'm super comfortable going into the season because you sign a guy like Juan Soto so you cannot get by on offense. Like you sign him so you can be in contention for the best offense in the league. But like we talked about a lot last season, again, this won't be as significant with the loss of Pete and Nimmo as lines constructed right now. There should be, based on the way the Mets offense performed last year, a lot of positive regression that should come to this team, based on the fact that
pitching-wise too.
Well, I'm not going to go there yet. We spent a good chunk of this season not getting the most of our contact and our swing decisions with runners in scoring positions specifically. That was construed as this Mets team is like not clutch, but then we saw for 2 months towards the end of the season that all the clutchness kind of came in one shot, and we just started putting up runs left and right. But then we had a lull at the end, and not going to go there again. There should be, again, something, and a lot of it does just come down to that. The trio you just said of Vientos, Bailey, Alvarez, along with what would be if there's no more additions, because in this fantasy we're living right now,
yes,
Framber Valdez is the only addition. So then Carson benches every opportunity to win a starting job out of camp. So the lot goes on his shoulders as well. But then it's basically like, can two of those guys take a step, and can all four of those guys be at least above league average?
Or even if two of them are above league average and the other two are league average, that's also huge.
I think if next season, if none of those guys were 20% better than league average, I'd be disappointed with the way we went through this offseason. Again, if it's only Framber. And I think the one I'm still banking on, because I will never stop banking on him, I think there's a guy who's
Brett Beatty.
I was going to say Alvarez.
Oh, okay.
In terms
both
of
them.
No, in terms of a bat. In terms of if you had to tell me from that quad, who's going to be the most successful hitter in 2026? I think I would defiantly say Francisco Alvarez. I think.
Yeah, I mean he was unbelievably good down the stretch. I feel like people kind of lost that because of how horribly the season went. But Francisco Alvarez was legitimate. Once he came back up, he was exactly what we thought he was going to be, if not better. He was so patient. He was hitting the ball hard. He was doing everything.
I'd be curious if we could do a straw poll. Maybe we could do that on our YouTube channel, because I'm nervous to take any of these questions to Twitter now, because I don't really trust the electorate on there anymore. Yeah, but if
bizarre.
Like, what's your perception of Francisco Alvarez as a baseball player? Because last year he played a half a season and was worth almost 2 WAR.
Yeah.
And that was with 40 of those games being basically unplayable.
With that stupid fucking batting stance change.
And then for the last 20 of those games, he played with a torn ligament in his hand and a broken finger.
Yeah.
And he was still, like, he still played on a 4-win pace, which would have put him in the upper tier of catchers in all of baseball.
Like a top 5 catcher in the league.
And, like, you kind of have to, if you're a team like the Mets right now, where you just don't know where you're going to go and you're being open-minded about the offseason, we know the way they're projecting these guys. Like, right now, these analysts are doing things that we can't even conceive, you and I talking together. Like they have a 90th, an 80th, a 70th. They got the percentile outcomes for every single guy. And I'm so curious about what they're doing internally. I think I sent it to you 2 weeks ago. Did you watch that analytics conference that David Stern spoke at last year, the MIT analytics conference?
I did not. I think it was like an hour long.
It was a while.
I could not focus for that long.
I'd recommend anyone go look for that, because it was like a fascinating look into what the Mets, how he's thinking about the Mets. Daryl Morey was sitting on the panel too. And they had a super interesting conversation about
who was he like the GM of? Was that the Sixers?
Sixers, Rockets. I think he still might be somewhere Sixers. I'm not sure.
I think weirdly, this is going to be a weird one for you. Shout out Bengal. James knows him. I think Daryl Morey follows Bengal on social media. He's like one of his 20 followers, which is kind of funny.
Bengal's a great analyst, but Daryl Morey basically asked David Stern in the middle of the question about evaluating players on your roster and like perceiving like what wins above replacement WAR and how much money that's worth without a salary cap. And Stern's talked about the luxury tax, and Stern's talked about scarcity of the roster. But there was kind of a good bit of foreshadowing to some things that have happened this offseason about like allusions to the Andrew Friedman quote about if you're rational for every free agent, you're going to fish third every free agent. But that was about superstar free agents, not guys you consider to be in the middle. And if there's a guy you consider in the middle, you should stay rational. If there's a guy you consider way above board, that's when you start to be irrational. And that was a decision that was made between Pete Alonso and Juan Soto, which is, again, Mets fans are still reeling over. But it was a fascinating look into all of this. And I can't remember the comment he made right now, but it was about like using your roster spots in like the most conducive way to like building the team the right way. And that's kind of how I felt about the Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil move still. But it still is about replacing them. But part of the replacing those guys is that we have a massive stockpile of talent in this upper minors. Like the Mets right now, the perception is they have one of the 5 best farm systems in baseball with a ton of that talent really pushed towards the upper levels. You got to give guys chances, because they fail, and next guys have to get chances. Yeah. Like by the end of next season, Ryan Clifford needs a 40-man roster spot. Chris Guerrero needs a 40-man roster spot. I think A.J. Ewing the year after that needs a 40. Jacob Reimer needs a 40-man roster spot. Jet Williams needs a 40-man roster spot. Like Yeah, aging was the year after that, 2027. But like it's shit to get off the pot time for Vientos, Mauricio especially, and you guys see Beatty out more. Alvarez is steady.
Acuna too.
Yeah, Acuna too. I think that's sort of going the wrong direction. But it's like you have to build this farm system. And you have to let this team be aligned with chances to give those guys. So I do think a lot more of these guys are probably going to get chances than it might seem right now. Where I think some Mets fans want 3 or 4 free agents added to this core. I'm just not sure if we see that this offseason.
Especially because we know that of the free agents available to be added to this core, there's one, right? I mean, there's one guy that you'd really want.
You could still definitely sway me for sure on Cody Bellinger if it's a 3-year deal. I think, again, we've said before, I think his market's got to be soft. This is the 4th time in 5 offseasons you could have had Cody Bellinger.
It's insane.
So like, if someone's giving a monster contract, where the fuck is he? We're waiting until he gets older to do it? Like, no way.
It's not happening. No, it would be like Tucker. Tucker's obviously one. Then you'd be interested in like that next tier, but like some of those guys don't even make sense for the Mets.
I mean, I think Eugenio Suarez is one of the best fits on the market for the Mets.
Yeah, and like we just don't tag him the core because he's older and he's going to be here short term. But like, there's also an aspect too with this lineup where I wonder if because Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto do such a good job at what they do at the top of the order, you know those guys are going to be on base a ton. You know they're going to drive in their runs. You know they're going to be the producers. That if they feel like they can get guys that do these certain things behind them and can almost fake fill in what happened for this team offensively.
But it's kind of like we said, where the way this team's aligned right now, we're projected to have the 4th best position player group in baseball. It doesn't feel that way, but I do think you afford yourself those opportunities to build the team in more, like I've been saying, there's a lot of creative and open-minded ways this podcast, just because you have 2 monsters who can lead the way. Like Francisco Lindor projections are still to be a 4 or 5, like a 5-win player, and the last 2 years, 3 years, he's more 6.5, 5.5, and 8.
Yeah,
so
he's
again,
unbelievable.
Like he's kind of right now doing the thing that true superstars do, which is defy an aging curve, which is
tearing
kind of
down
amazing.
the team.
Yeah, of course.
My bad.
Yeah, no, of course, of course that's happening. But it's the kind of thing that players do when they're like incredibly special, where you can fight off Father Time. Like not many people in the world can ever fight off Father Time. And the fact that Francisco Lindor is doing that now, while he is clearly, we see underlying, he is losing some of the physical abilities. He's not swinging as fast. He's not hitting the ball as hard. But the fact that he's still able to juice the same amount of production, the projections still think he's going to get a very similar amount of production into what the last 4 years he's been one of the 5 best players in baseball based on his total value, is amazing. With him and Soto, it gives you freedom to kind of take some risks elsewhere because they're so certain.
Yes.
And the other side of that coin is like, these guys are that good. Maybe you should be pushing the chip super in, because when you have these guys, maybe you should be trying to win a World Series every single year possible. It's not that we're not trying to win a World Series, but it's just that, I don't know, it's ironically a transition time because so many players are now off this roster, but it really might not be a transition time.
Yeah, it's weird. And I think, just so you guys know, I think me and James both want the Mets to go out and get good players. This is not
badly.
This is not us vouching for.
Talk about Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez.
Yes, this is not us vouching, being like trust the David Stearns process. I'm not going to tell you guys that in this offseason. There's no shot, but we're telling you what is happening, and we think that this is what's happening. And as much as we can scream and yell and get mad, it doesn't do anything, because our opinion doesn't matter. So, like, it's not fun. That's not why people come to listen to baseball content or watch baseball content. But at the end of the day, like, the reason we're talking about this is the way that this Mets team seems like they're going to be built is because everything around us, all the signals, kind of tell us this is the outcome.
It's like, I don't know, my great-grandfather used to say this. Like, I can't remember the saying.
You knew your great-grandfather?
Very well. He was 101.
Damn, I had old-ass grandparents.
He was my confirmation sponsor.
What?
He was alive till I was 21 years old, almost 22. My senior year of college. He was the man.
I think my grandparents were like late 70s, like when I was born. Like
but I can't remember the saying he used to say, but it was kind of something like, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And in this case with the Mets, it's like, we could take all the lip service from David Stearns. You can read every single tabloid, doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about right now, and is intentionally spreading hateful things that are trying to divide people and make people mad because that's what pays their bills, because they're dying companies and dying breeds. But you have to just watch what the Mets have done this offseason.
Yes.
And that is try to repurpose some of these roster spots and in their perception, some of the players that we could have thought were elite, that we hold near and dear to our hearts, we watched them play a lot of games, they just didn't evaluate that way. And that's it. So, like, all the lip service that we get, you got to replace these guys with this, got to replace these guys with that. You have to break your silence. This guy's the fucking
The breaking
Grinch.
the silence shit was crazy. That was nuts.
Think you're fucking closer to God type of shit. But it's just, we're seeing what's been happening this offseason. So you have to understand the world we're now living in, kind of play it off that.
Should we media marvel a little bit? Because I want to talk about the breaking the silence. And
Is
all
it
that
time?
nonsense.
Is time to be? How many media marvels can we do here?
I mean, it has been the most toxic week in Mets Twitter probably ever. Pretty embarrassing to be a Met fan right now. I have some of my like YouTube friends that are not Mets fans that are just on Twitter being like, "What is going on in the Mets world?" Like everybody is at each other's throats. It's animal. It's bad. It's not a good look right now. It's terrible. And a big part of it is fucking Mike Puma and the New York Post, just the New York Post in general. The sports pope is making up fake rumors from. I trust me. People that I trust. What did he say, James?
No, I think he said I got the exact quote here because we were texting it with our friend before. I got to scroll and find it.
But like the entirety of all this is so crazy, and for them, this is like they're rock hard seeing all this because it's the chaos of the Mets offseason. It's the perfect storm of beloved franchise guys leaving. They brought in all these new guys that they are claiming have these agendas, which is so fucking crazy. It's insane. And then Mike Puma, all-time bad offseason.
What's going on, dude?
He's on the mega shit list. And you know what? Have we ever told the story about what he does every morning when he goes to the fucking games on Sunday? Because I'm outing him, James.
I think we mentioned it, but go for it.
Mike Puma every Sunday. Disgusting.
He did when we saw it.
Absolutely disgusting. And when we worked for the team on Sundays, 10 o'clock, you could get into the fucking cafeteria to get food as a reporter, as a writer. Mike Puma runs to the Mr. Softy machine and just fills up a fucking cup of ice cream 10 a.m. God damn it. I fucking hate him. What he's doing this offseason it's bad journalism. This isn't journalism, actually. It's the opposite.
It's no disdain for the ice cream move.
No, ice cream's great.
Whatever you do in the privacy of the cafe,
Mike
you can't
Puma.
do. But the first thing that started, I'll go generally chronologically here. But during the Jorge Polanco introductory press conference, he talked about like joining the Mets, and Mike Puma asked a question about like coming to this team where Pete Alonso just left and Edwin Diaz just left. And someone was like, why are you asking this question? Like, this has nothing to do with him. He's joining this team. He's not in the front office. He has nothing to do with it. And Mike Puma responded to a good member of the Mets community, Jazz Ronald Chizzy. Jazz Chisholm. The only person who had a worse week than the Mets is Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah,
but
got dunked on.
Puma replied to this fan, these press conferences are for me, not for you. It's like, dude. What? Like,
So
come
fucking
on.
tone deaf.
Can you have some humility? Like, you do a great service. You've been doing it for a long time. And you're good at what you do.
Was good at what he does.
Again, objectively, but that's a crazy thing to say. You're really putting a big dividing line between yourself and the fans that you do serve in a way. Like we rely on the beat writers, we rely on the journalists, we rely on the reporters, people in the room, people get to ask questions face to face. Hopefully we can get opportunities to do that at some point in the near future, crossing our fingers, but it's just we rely on you to do that. So if you're not asking questions with like the goodness of everything involved, it's like we're not getting anything out of it. But again, that's not what the New York Post wants. Now we know.
And especially if it's not for us, then who are you writing it for? Because the people reading and clicking your articles is what keeps you employed. So if you're not writing for the people to watch and see your stuff and read it, you're doing a bad job on purpose. If I was the head of the New York Post, I'd be like, what do you mean this isn't for them? This is for them. That's why you're asking these questions.
Literally, that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're trying to be an intermediary between baseball players and baseball fans.
Because this is something that the average person will never get in their life. They have no access.
And the Mets have so many of them, many more than most teams, triple probably what other teams have, especially ones that travel. There are some baseball teams now, they barely even have traveling press anymore.
Yeah.
And we're blessed as Mets fans to have this much insight into our players, our management, our front office. It's amazing. But it does seem like something has happened in the last 2 years, clearly with the way first the Steve Cohen regime began, and now with David Stearns entering, being tight, not being leaky faucets like they used to be, where they've lost a good bit of access, where now you have to resort to tabloid-style tactics. And you're not doing journalism anymore. What you're doing is
TMZ.
Bullshit is a good term for it. Like
bullshit's a nice way.
And then you start to get what's come in the last few days where we've literally become like an embarrassing tabloid. Yeah. And you're doing this intentionally to incite negative emotions from Mets fans because negative emotions are already in the pot. And it's not a tinfoil cap thing, but the Post is expanding, right?
No, I did not know.
They're doing an LA Post now.
Interesting.
So I do think they're trying to get some shit in the pot. I think they're trying to test some theories out. I think they're trying to go into these areas where politics are generally a certain way and then try to infuse different intentional, insightful viewpoints into them because they know that's what clicks. People want you to be outraged, and that's
Yep.
the goal of these places. So if you do it, you play into their hands, and people are playing into their hands.
So it's so bad what's been going on, and the fact that like somehow the Mets roster has become a political statement apparently is insane. Again, no matter what side you land on, shouldn't matter what these players think politically. It should be not important. And if you think it's important, that's your own personal choice too. But it's where it's gotten to of like this like insane negativity and toxicity, and like you said, it's like it's embarrassing. It's so weird.
It's a little bit frightening, like some of the things we're seeing on the internet.
Disturbing.
Like it's the kind of thing where like I'm like a little bit worried for some people's like standings, their mental health, the people that are close to them on a daily basis. And something you just said, doesn't matter what the players on the team think politically. It's nothing to do with us, right?
No.
You know what matters a lot less?
What's that?
What the player's wife on the team could think politically.
Even less. Zero.
I can't think of something that has less of an impact on my life than any of my favorite athletes' spouses are doing with their free time. It does not matter. And anyone who thinks there's this grand plan involved that's like really sinister, just look in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself about it, because you have to
talk to somebody. Please get outside.
come back to reality. Think about baseball. Think about the crisp grass. Think about the smell of hot dogs and peanuts. Think about the ball shooting up the alley. That's what we're here for. If something that's happening out of the baseball field is impacting the way you love this sport, one, you probably love it to begin with. Two, figure it out.
I mean, you don't think that Francisco Lindor became a New York Met back in the early 2020s so that this grand plan could fall into place? I mean, what are you, a sheep?
So you thought guys that were teammates for years and years and years that all of a sudden like they had to go because of possibly some political affiliations? Like
that you would have known, by the way, the entire time. It's not like 2025 was news about who these guys would have supported politically.
Pete Alonso is a lib. Like he is a big liberal. Pete Alonso spoke out glowingly about the Black Lives Matter movement, and people are not. It's people just easily forget. And then also the part of this is pissing me off the most. People talk about that Francisco Lindor is not as good at baseball as we've seen him be. This is one of the best players. He's one of the best players in baseball. He's one of the best players ever worn a Mets jersey. He's likely going into Cooperstown as a New York Met. So either get on or get off, because it's like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the fact that we're having the conversations somehow after 3 elite seasons,
Four.
You're right, 4 elite seasons. Forgot about 2025, where Francisco Lindor has been one of the 2 best shortstops on the planet, and the one guy that's ahead of him is 23, named Bobby Witt Jr., who's a physical specimen. Francisco Lindor never had the raw abilities that Bobby Witt Jr. had, and he's keeping pace with him in his physical prime is unbelievable. And then you bring up like the clubhouse tensions and the Soto stuff and Lindor and all the bullshit, and I go, so the 2 guys that are supposedly not friendly with each other, having all these clubhouse problems, Lindor and Soto, right? How did they perform last year, James? Just real quick for the people. I'd love to know how it affected their game.
Really well.
Yeah,
really well.
So,
amazingly well.
If it bothered other people in the clubhouse and caused them to not play well, to be honest, bye-bye. See you later.
Get over it.
Get over it. If these guys not being friends affects you as a player to not play as well, you've got a mental illness too. I don't know what's going on.
Imagine the upside if they become good friends.
I know, right?
Might combine for 90 home runs.
Mets are going to be the first 162-0 team, apparently.
Again, it's gone so far to the point. And then sometimes you get, again, because this becomes a side versus side thing. And something else I don't really like is an overcompensation, where now people start to vilify the other guys that were here that are gone. Yeah. Where it's like, I still like Pete Alonso a lot. I still like Brandon Nimmo. I still like Jeff McNeil. Like
still like Edwin Diaz.
And again, like it's not. It's action and reaction. It's just it's weird that it's happening right now. I think it's just because this week nothing's going on. I think the fact that Mets fans are on edge because there's no news. There's just nothing to. This is like the week that gets lost in the space-time continuum every year. I remember last year, this week, I went on Twitter and said that Chase Utley shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, and I got massacred for days. Yeah, literally, Phillies fans were in my mentions. They're still in my mentions, saying horrible things about me, my family. But it's just like people just really want to get mad in this day and age, this generation. And the people want you to do that because then you click on their stuff more often. It's a click-based environment. And that's what it is. It's really fucking stupid.
Yeah, wish we didn't have to speak about it, but it is one of the biggest pieces of news in the Mets world right now. Is this
the biggest by far?
Absolute fucking nonsense going on. And I do. All you people listen to Mets Up, I know 99.9% of you are not a part of this and don't care and are on the right side of where we should all be, which is, how are the Mets going to be on the field next year? I want to see this team win 90 games, make a run in the playoffs.
Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, Tatsuya Imai. What are the chances one of them's a Met?
33%.
33% one of them?
33% one of them is a Met.
What are the chances two of them's a Met?
10%.
Who's the most likely to be a Met?
Framber.
Okay, I think he might still.
Really?
I did, on my YouTube channel, I did a video this weekend about the best fits for the remaining free agents. And I fit Imai just because I can't get over the fact that since Steve Cohen bought the Mets, the only player we signed with a qualifying offer attached to them is Juan Soto. I simply can't get past that. And I think
that's shocking that Billy Epler signed nobody to qualifying offers.
Right, that must have been a hard rule that was set for him.
Almost feels like it because that seems like something that Billy Epler would like. Just knowing how his brain worked, been like qualifying offer. Who cares? It's a pick he's going to play in 6 years.
Billy Epler did do good work to set up the foundation of prospects that we have now. I salute Billy for that one. There were a lot of things that happened in the middle I didn't love that Billy Epler did, but there's that he definitely helped us do. So I really think we're going to try and swoop on Imai, and I think especially if you can get him at this point for like 6 for 130, I think that's suddenly an awesome deal.
I mean, I guess we'll wait and see. So what's your confidence then on one guy?
I think I'm like almost 50% on one guy.
Wow. And then on two guys?
On two guys, I think I'm on 5%.
Yeah, I don't see that being likely. But all right, I like that you're a little more positive than me with that. That's good. It's a good change.
I think we're going to get something and everything, because even we missed in all this the fact that Steve Cohen went out and maybe this also what did it. Steve Cohen called the New York Post, I think, stupid. I think he just called them idiots. I think he called the people that work there.
Possibly.
Yeah, so I think that might have pissed people off in that room as well, and that's why they're like, all right, you know what? We're going to make your life worse now, guy.
Oh, David Stearns needs to break his silence, James. He owes it to you.
The Grinch.
He owes it to Mike Puma, actually. My bad.
I mean, Mike Puma doesn't owe it to us to report what he's actually saying.
It's not for us, James. It's for him. Don't forget that, guys. Anytime Mike Puma puts out an article, remember, he doesn't want you to read it. It's just for him to write. Go into the internet void. That's how we should treat everything he does from now on.
I checked for Frankie Peppers just in case because I feel like I need them right now.
I know. It'd be nice to get a little Frankie Peppers positivity in there, but alas, we have none. That's about 40 minutes of the Mets somehow. Some way. There hasn't been anything that's gone on, and me and James rambled for 40 fucking minutes because that's how we do it. Thank you guys for watching, listening. Make sure you are subscribed to Mets'd. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. I want to give a shout out to the members too. I'm gonna look these up real quick and just read out the members' names. It's been a while since we've done it. James, tell people where they can find you as well.
You can find me, social media, Twitter, YouTube, James Shiano. Also want to shout out my guy Jerry. Met him on the L train Saturday night. We rode like basically from Union Square all the way to Brooklyn together.
Man of the people, James Shiano.
Had good like 20 minutes of dense Mets talk. It was awesome.
Let me see where I can find all these members' names. We've got quite a bit. We're up to 59 total members. I appreciate you guys. I'm just going to read them out real quickly at the end here because you guys deserve it. Shout out Old Spicy 6931, Toussaint 2324, JM 27165, Dylan 8020, Ed Flood 520, Jamie Gongora 4569. Edward Flood, X7L. I think he might have two accounts. A legend. CTB Video Productions, Dave Kaplowitz, 1020. Phil Mamano, 8209. VFM. Johnny Quinn, 887. Jersey Mets fan, Luke Miller, 29. James Alba, 882. Sky Cherny, 7638. JT McFever? I think that might be your name. Really Cold Take. Alex Stein, 7591. All the other Alex Steins were taken. Eli Windhelm, 3441. The Blind Beard, 5206. I'm going to keep going, James. Sam Grinberg, 1898. Chris Scopo. Oh, I know Chris, 2155. He's a good comedian. Muted Growl, RM 3630. Andrew Claudio. Shout out Andrew as well. Check out Just Mets if you guys haven't. Bella
and Nick's Film School.
And Nick's Film School. Lucas MG _17. PT for Natali. Oh, that's a real Italian like that. Humphrey Film.
That's my guy.
Josiah Almonte. Hadley H. Matthew Sy. Swanson. McFlick. Remix Cod. Harvey Scholes. Robert Colonna. Legend. Guys knows more about me than I know. Professor Hiroshima. Death Star Chris. Miguel Gomez. We're getting there. The Mac Dodd. Max Auerbach. Richard Way. Mr. 57 Turbo. Bobby Blair. Sir Lawrence T. Steph Walker. Landon Tucker. Xavier Gonzalez. I beat Annibot. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Teddy Delgado. I had to make sure that one wasn't bad. Hunter M. Frankie Peppers. Of course. Shout out Graham Hickson. Ali Hockey. Zappy. And Tom Kozlowski, the legend bartender in Caesar's Palace, gave me free drinks when I was there. Shout out everybody. We appreciate all the members. And I think that's it, right, James?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for everything. Again, we're probably going to do prospects later this week. And if we don't talk to you till then, everyone have a really happy New Year. Everyone make sure if you do, have your lentils. Good for good luck in the new year.
If you're looking for love, a grape under the table.
Grape under the table. 2 big things to get in this new year. We want love. We want luck. So shout out all you guys. Thank you so much. See you next time.